Hello, all you kind-hearted and wonderful people. Well, yesterday I wasn't particularly productive. I did walk. I didn't go outside and go in the back and look for that chair. It's early yet, but I slept like super hard and didn't go to sleep early and woke up later than I wanted to. And I got a little bit of a wheeze going on here, which may or may not. You might hear between words. You may not. I'm sort of listening to orgasmic sounds upstairs from Stampy. It's kind of disturbing me right now, so that's also a distraction that it's not going to help my concentration very much. But anyways, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, Stampy, but please don't want to hear it. I try to be quiet myself. But anyways, yeah, what I did do yesterday was I got a hold of Brent, dude, and I wrote him a text, and I more or less asked him a direct question at the end of it. It's like, should I pay the rent or should I not pay the rent? Does it take women longer? I wonder. I don't know these things. I am very sweet and innocent, but I wish this would stop. Um, but anyways, he wrote me back and just said pay the rent, and right away I felt that rebellious inside me when people tell me what to do. I don't like being told what to do. Because I asked him, like, I don't know much about, like, do you think, like, the prospective next place I live, that they'll want my most current reference or my most current landlord experience? What do you think I should do? And he literally wrote 3 words: pay your rent. And then he wrote, I'll call you later. And he did, but he was much more ambivalent on the phone. He was like, well, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you feel is best, and all that. And we had a good talk and stuff. And he's gonna call me on Monday, and maybe I'll pick out one of those places on Monday. I was thinking about how to play it, and it's like, well, maybe I'll pick out one of them places on Monday, get the process started, and still drag my feet on the rent here, and still not give this guy any money, but have a place to go. And, just like move out of here at my own snail's pace crawl once that lease is signed at the other place. Okay, that's the shower running, so I think we're done with the moaning section of, or maybe it was in the shower, I don't know. Yeah, my advice, don't ever live in a place that's an apartment complex that is not built for apartments. That's just a house that's chopped up into sections. I tend to be naive, so I was like, oh, there's a common hallway. I did not see that being a major problem. I don't have my own door. I did not see that as being a major problem. This place is a big house carved up for apartments. I got like that ridiculous half full optimism of being like, oh, good people will move in here who will be respectful about noise and personal behavior, and you know, a little bit of self censorship there. Sorry about that. Uh, yeah, I was gonna say, and people that you wouldn't have to listen to hate fucking, because there was that one couple in there that would hate fuck, and yeah, it just sounded like an assault was happening. But anyways, let me have a sip of coffee, please. Thank you. So I spent a lot of my day in like ambivalent thought, like, okay, well, and kind of get mixed signals from this guy about, like, pay your rent to be safe, do what you need to do, you feel you need to do. I don't want to tell you what to do. I told you what to do, in 3 short words. I mean, I really don't want to give the guy rent, but it's only $425 rent, and I can spare it, and if I want to pay the guy rent, I could give the guy 2 months rent, and then, take my time getting out of here, and just move stuff out here bit by bit. Then I won't have to leave all my stuff here, and then if he evicts me, who cares? But I guess you don't want an eviction on your record, you don't want that on your record. That's something I didn't think about for some reason. It's because that's one useful thing that he told me. He's like, you don't want that on your record, that you got evicted from a place. You have a spotless record as a renter and a long-time renter. And then when that is the wet dream ideal for somebody who is a landlord, is somebody that's going to stay there a long time, not be a problem, and give them their fucking money on time. And I've covered those 3 bases in spades with the home run. The 4th thing being that I actually look out for the property and apprise them of what's going on in the property, which I have quit doing, of course, for Gerald, because like I told this guy over here, which is one of the reasons why my toes are throbbing this morning, you know that story, is I told him I don't give a fuck about what happens in this building anymore. And it's like I'm not gonna be like your go-to guy as far as informing you about what's going on in, excuse me, what's going on in, that didn't work, what's going on in the building, because I had done that for years to no avail when it came to the drug traffic, and when it came to noise and everything would have to reach a ridiculous boiling point. Like the time where we had like a group meeting where people were being thrown out, and it's like you remember that story if you've been with me long enough, but I was a driving force behind getting the hood people thrown out. So I was like, I want to be there. I talked to the landlord on the porch. He's like, I'm going to go talk to him now and give him the news, because I finally convinced him that they need to go. I'm like, I want to be there. And he goes, no, it's not going to help matters. I don't want you there because, I said, well, I'll defer to your greater experience in these matters. And then I was going to just go in my house and mind my business, but it was me and the landlord in the hallway, because my dumb ass, I didn't think about the fact that they have an upstairs window and could see the landlord out there. So they were all assembled on the balcony while we were having this talk out on the porch. We opened the porch door and walk in that hallway area, and they're all up on the railing, and they know what's up, And they start in on me right away. And I'm like, listen, the landlord does not want me here. And one of them said, well, I want you here. And I'm like, he owns the building, so he's the boss. So he told me that I have to go in there and sit and wait, and that's what I'm going to do. And later on, we had like a tenants meeting. It had to be a whole big drama, But those people were off the chain as far as their behavior, and they just didn't give a fuck, man. It's the noise, and the funniest thing to me, was funny and annoying at the same time, was the way that they would, instead of like saying I'm here now on the cell phone like sensible people, they would stand out in the yard and say, yo, Ronald, and just yell. I'm just in here and I'd jump and shit, and then like after after some incident or another, this is going back a few years, they did that with me. Yo, Steve, this 300-pound dude, and I'm like, there's no point in me going out there. I'm just going to pretend like I didn't hear him. It's like, if I go out there, nothing good is going to happen. No, the guy is a 300-pounder. He is like a peaceful dude. And like a lot of like great big huge people. So he confronted me before and said that, said his piece, and I'm like, okay, you know, like the first time I met the 300-pound dude, I was like, listen, man, and I got in his face a little bit, and he took it all very well. He said, okay. Oh, it was over like water coming through the ceiling. I'm like, whatever you do up there as far as water, it's gonna come down and it's gonna cause a mess in my apartment. So I want you to be real careful about that with water, okay? Instead of getting defensive and stuff, he was okay. Like sorry about that. So he was like a reasonable dude, but I'm not feeding into the whole pattern of, yo, just yelling, you know, knock on my door. It's like, knock on my door. Anyway, so point being that like everything has to be like to dramatic levels of disasterness to get the landlord's attention. So, I would be telling him what's going on, and like after getting sprayed with bug poison, I'm like, your action reporter on the scene is no longer trying to keep things running smooth in this building because it's very clear that you don't give a fuck. I may be slow, but like molasses stripping down a tree in November, I will get to the bottom of the tree sooner or later and figure this shit out. I'll get to the bottom of things. So it took me a while. Just like it took me a while to see that he was a sociopathic con man. That was just like stringing me along and didn't give a fuck about anything but his money. It took some very dramatic examples of that for me to say, oh, this guy's actually a piece of shit bastard who's really, really good at pretending to give a fuck and pretending to be a nice guy and bring you Christmas cookies and speak politely to you and say all the right things. He's just very skilled at being a bad landlord. And when I think about it now, it kind of like almost makes me blush how stupid I was to not figure that out. But anyways, the other thing that happened was this is kind of funny is I had talked to I had said that my Meals on Wheels shipments were canceled. And I had talked to my CareSource manager about switching to this company called Global Foods, just because I cannot stomach any more Meals on Wheels frozen meals. I mean, just the sight of them, just can't handle it, and I gotta save up all my pennies, and I can't buy food that I want to eat, except for I buy, like I said, I buy eggs and cheese, and an occasional bag of potato chips. But so yesterday I'm sitting in the bedroom, somebody's pounding on my door. I should start that story wrong. The charger on my phone broke. That goes to the computer and plugs in the USB port. It's like the wires frayed on it. So I threw that out, and I had this ridiculous, like crazy long cord, like balled up and on the bed. And I'm like, screw this. And because it kept like popping in and popping out, and the computer would make this doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo noise, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, every time that it would get shifted or get bumped or whatever. Man, fuck that. I got other cords somewhere around here. So I went and my phone was on low charge, and I charged it in the other room, and I went back here in my prison and watched the computer. And so I hear banging on my door, and I'm like, I ain't getting out of bed for that, man. It's just gonna be a bunch of nonsense. And then I hear, Mr. Barton, Steven. And this was a funny sight, man. And I opened my bedroom door to look, and I look at the door first, but then I look at the window, and I had left the window open part way for the cat, and there's a woman's head poked through the crack in the window like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, but in a friendly way. And she's saying, your global food shipment is here. And she got her head sideways, like poked through this crack that's I only left open for the cat because it's cold here. And, I had the blinds over top of the crack. and she had to pull up the blind with one hand and poke her head through the window and yell at me. But I got some different food yesterday, and it was a very welcome change, and the quality of the food seems to be higher. Though I don't know if it's enough food that would hold me for a week, but you know, it's like, okay, that's cool. But I thought, I was left the impression that they were do what Meals on Wheels did and have somebody talk to me about what I wanted, my likes or dislikes, and make an arrangement for a day. And they were like, she was like, I tried to call you, and I said, yeah, the phone was in the other room, and I was in the bedroom. So I said, you didn't call. I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting you when I opened the door for her. And she was like, yeah, I did call you before I came, but they called me the same day, like, we're here. And they might have been the knock on the door that I heard a few days earlier, where I was like, I got up and I'm like, fuck that, I think it's gonna be nothing but trouble. Uh, that I just ignored. So, but they were supposed I just expected them to call and say, how about, such and such day? Is that a good day for you? Instead of just showing up here. And then they didn't make me fill out any papers or anything like that. They just had like papers taped to the top of one of the boxes. And said, have this, if you could have this filled out, just hand it to me the next time we drop off your shipment. So that was cool. And then I talked to my brother, and I'm like, you want any of those Meals on Wheels meals? And I can give you some of this other stuff, too. Because his dog just died, and that's what people do, I guess. In times of grief is often mingled with food for some reason. So, there's always food at funerals and wakes and stuff. I understand. I have never attended a funeral. Or a wake, really. I had impromptu wakes over people where it was just people getting together talking about the recently deceased. But I've never been to a funeral. I don't remember going to my older brother's funeral when he committed suicide. I may have gone there. I may not have. I don't remember. I was 9 years old. I think I stayed home. I don't know. Uh, so that's the news. I continue to be shiftless, lazy, and unmotivated. And I still haven't plugged in my guitar. I did walk yesterday for 30 to 40 minutes back and forth through the house. I woke up very late today for me. I probably will still, I think I will tell you that I will make, because that helps me get things done. I will make a point of going back there and walking down the tricky steps and that are made of concrete that is crumbling, and check it out back there and see if there's a good place to sit, because it's cold here now, but warm weather will be coming. And then the other thing is this weekend I will look at those other two places, and I might just pick one out, because I'm like, it's really kind of tough. As he was saying, I don't know how it is for you about like just look if you need to actually see a place in person. And I'm like, I don't need to see the inside of a place, because I've been living in a shithole for years. That's just not been kept up, Like I said, broken lights, messed up wiring, holes in the wall, broken windows, constant fears of plumbing mishaps and water coming through the ceilings. I've even had an infestation of hornets in my ceiling before. Which, you try to sleep in a room where you hear hornets buzzing. It's not easy. That one time I was half asleep and I felt one on my chest, and I looked down and there's a hornet on my chest, and I said like this, I don't know how I kept from getting stung. I didn't try to smack it and kill it, which would be the wrong move. But so I'm like, I don't care about the interior. I'm talking about like the neighborhood and the surrounding area. Is there enough greenery? Is it removed from busy roads? Is there space around it so I don't have to deal with like neighbors with 3 or 4 dogs like over here, etc., etc. That's the kind of stuff that I'm more interested in than the actual interior of the place. I did say I do miss having a big old bathtub to soak my aching bones, and pretty much what I told him word for word. And he said, yeah, I can understand that. I'm thinking, you really can't. You're 32 years old and look like you can lift up a bulldozer. It's like, I have a feeling you don't understand that. Um, but even that's, I've lived without that for um, 12 years without the luxury of a bathtub big enough to fill with hot water. And frankly, that can be like, that can get your heart kicking, soaking in hot water. So I notice when I take hot showers, like it gets my heart going for whatever reason. I don't know why hot water would do that, but um, anyways, now that Stampy's orgasm is over, good job. Um, I can maybe like think more clearly. It's quiet here, but I really don't have a lot. Hmm, I almost said a lot much else to say. So yeah, my brain's not functioning too good. I haven't been cheating on my volume. I've adopted kind of a new pattern where I take two of them to make sure I go to sleep at night, and then just one during the course of the day, which is still the prescribed 15 milligrams. You know, um, the guy also asked me, do you think you should just like wait until this all is going to be over? And I'm like, this isn't going to be over for a long time. I mean, until they come up with a vaccine and some kind of way to treat COVID-19. I'm still going to be in the most high risk group, so no, I don't want to wait. You know, I want to get out of here and sit outside in peace, not have to like peer out the peephole to see if there's anything in the hallway and not avoid people around here. The neighbors are like real close. Like this house has been empty since the meth crisis, and the guy had to move with the kids, so that's been cool. But this house over here has got dogs, like either 3 or 4 of them, depending upon whether their son's living with him. And I think it's 4 now because the son's truck's out there. Because he's got his own dog, and they're kind of like huddled together because of the COVID quarantine. I did ask some questions of the aid worker. I don't know if I included that in another video about what things are like out there. You know, because I'm just stuck in here. I don't even know my own neighborhood. And she said like gas is like $1.29 a gallon. It's like super cheap. And she said, I was like, well, what about traffic? Is there a lot of people out there? And she goes like, no, the traffic's all different. So I guess people are taking it really seriously in Ohio, which is not the impression I have. But all I do is go out for a walk and look at the main drag at like 5:36, maybe 7 in the morning, and look like, well, it seems like a fair amount of cars on the road, you know. But she's out traveling around in her as part of her job, so she knows better than me. But she said no, there's not a whole lot of people out running around. That people are pretty observant of the quarantine, so I got a false impression about that. So anyway, I didn't like I said, I didn't get much done yesterday besides talk to my brother, talk to the Brent guy on the phone, leave a message for him and text him. And did I say walk around the house? I know I said it earlier, but you know, I'm being redundant. Life ain't all that interesting. My voice is like froggy, and it's been that way. And I'm not wheezing too bad right now, but I woke up wheezing, and it's a respiratory disease, so that's never comforting. But until I'm hit with a big old fever, I'm not going to be afraid of, having this COVID thing, because that's like the first symptom, to the point where like places, I think Walmart being one of them, they insist that employees take their temperature before they even go to work each morning. I don't know if they make them do it in the parking lot at work or what. I have no idea what the hell's going on out there. But I spent the morning and wrote a long post and read an article that had nothing at all to do with COVID, and drinking my coffee and ate some kind of something sweet to go with the coffee, which I don't even know what it was. It was some kind of like chocolate bar type of thing, but it wasn't a chocolate bar. It wasn't chocolate. I don't know what it was. I just ate something. I have no clue what it was. It looked like a candy bar, but it wasn't a candy bar. It wasn't a nutrition bar. It was sweet and had cocoa in it, but it wasn't too sweet. So it went pretty good with the coffee. So, that was my morning. Is I read and wrote some on the computer. I wondered while I was wheezing, and drank some coffee and listened to an orgasm. And that's about it. So anyways, I'll see you tomorrow. And hopefully I can finally dust off that guitar and, make some noise. Find some ambition somewhere. So, as usual, I wish you a good day. And if you're listening to this and your day is over, I hope you had a good day. And sooner or later, we'll have this stuff all figured out. This isn't the stand. This isn't the end of the world, even though it's definitely changed the world forever and disrupted the world economy, and it's a big deal. But this is just going to be another footnote in history. I don't want to extrapolate on that anymore because I do need to get out of here, finish my coffee, and move around. And plus, my voice is really ragged. At least it feels really ragged to me. So anyways, goodbye, and see you tomorrow.